side, Matt Nass playing what we're calling Simic Midrange. I've heard it called Simic Food. I've heard it called Simic Fight. Simic Midrange works for our purposes here. Going to be taking on Jonathan Rosum playing Bant Golos.
Yeah, and when we're talking about decks trying to go over top of each other, I mean, Nissa is one of those key cards where if you're not going to go the zombie route, Nissa is on that power level.
Yeah, Nissa into Hydroid Krasis is the KO here.
Yep.
Yeah, this deck gets a lot of points by disrupting the opponent by staying proactive. Like something like Wicked Wolf is simultaneously answering opponents' threats and building your own battlefield. That's why I think it's gotten a lot of points. Previously, Brazen Borrower did a lot of that for this deck, but Brazen Borrower... Oh, no, it is here. 4 copies of Brazen Borrower. Matt Nass going even harder on Brazen Borrower than some people. So.
You had to know it was in the deck. It is a mythic rare.
That, of course. Didn't want to leave one of those behind. Meanwhile, over on Rosum's side, see a nice little start here. A Boreal Grazer into Oko. Turn 2 Oko. Not the typical way of doing this. Usually Gilded Goose enabling that. Rosum getting it through a Boreal Grazer.
And he had the option to turn his 0-3 into a 3-3 here.
Passed on it.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
Well, it means if you -5 with your Oko next turn, it's still on the board, right? I think that's the reason to take this line.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's a little more patient. You're going to be able to still make a 3-3 next turn.
Yeah. Also, Rosum doesn't have to be the one acting first. It's on Matt Nass to put together some aggression here. Rosum can eventually outscale Nass. Nass has his own Oko, though. That's going to come onto the battlefield. Tick up, make a food. And the turn heads back to Rosum. Rosum with a little bit different looking approach to the archetype. 3 Oko Thief of Crowns, where a lot of other players would normally play Teferi. 1 Kenrith, 1 Fae of Wishes, 3 Beanstalk Giant.
You love
3 Once Upon a Time. I am furious with Rosum, I will tell you that much. I like very little about this deck list, but serving Rosum well thus far, sitting at 7-1. Oko continues to tick up. Looks like it is going to make a 3-3 this time. Will it be the food or the Arboreal Grazer?
Man, why does it tick up to make 3-3s?
Who knows, Craig? The food is going to go ahead and attack Oko. Oko falls to 3 loyalty.
And what's Matthew Nass doing here, showing up with his own dice that we can barely see on the board?
It's a good question.
What, are there no rules anymore, Brian?
It's lawless in the feature match area presently.
Who let this happen?
I demand giant dice.
Yeah.
Fix this now.
Someone's going to lose their job here.
Right. Heads will roll. Nass thinking about this turn carefully. There we go. Order has been restored in the feature match area.
Thank goodness.
We can rest easy. Nass plays land number 4.
It seems so important to have your Oko on the board first.
Does. Here's a Wicked Wolf coming down. Gonna go ahead, sacrifice a food. Wicked Wolf gets a +1/+1 counter, gets indestructible, and kills Rosum's Elk.
Yeah, and it's going to dodge Oko as well. A pretty good card.
Oko's going to go ahead and make another food. Rosum going to end of turn, crack Fabled Passage. Gets a forest.
Just seeing stuff like this, it makes me wonder if Wizards knew that no one could show up with a 2 or 3 cost creature that needed to attack.
I don't know, man. Seems like a dubious strategy presently.
Yeah, I mean between Oko and a 1-mana 0-3 and the Wolf is just humping on things.
Yeah.
You can't really play an aggressive mid-rangey deck.
The new Reflector Mage. I think you can call Wicked Wolf. Comes down, gobbles up something, keeps the aggression going. Rosum had a nice draw that turn. Field of the Dead off the top of the deck.
Well, that's a good start for what he's doing.
Absolutely is. Hydroid Krasis, X = 4. Going to take 2 cards off the top. Circuitous Route, Once Upon a Time. Time to deploy Field of the Dead. That engine is now going. How about a zombie token?
You see the two guys on that picture? They look like, they're
Zombies?
No, they're buddies. Mm-hmm. Those are bosom buddies.
Okay. Yeah, Jerry and I are definitely bosom buddies
Yeah,
then.
definitely.
That's a throwback to an earlier round if you're just joining us. You really had to stick around a long time for the payoff on that one. Hopefully you've been here.
The long game.
Otherwise, these people just have no idea what we're talking about.
And we're idiots.
Yeah. No, wouldn't be the first time. So Rosum has things going right now, that is for sure. Oko doing its thing, Field of the Dead doing its thing. Crasises are large.
And to me, this game just kind of speaks to what we've been talking about with going over the top of each other's decks. Each turn, each player has done something that's looked very powerful. Mm-hmm. And the next turn, it just seems
quaint.
Yeah, just completely negated by what the other person did on their turn.
I think so. Step one for Nass. Wicked Wolf attacking Oko. Zombie just going to hop in the way there. Sure. That resource is disposable now.
Oh, yeah. There's more zombies coming.
Rosum says plenty more where that came from. Temple of Mystery for Nass. Looks like he likes the top card. How's our follow-up here? Paradise Shroud. Looks like Oko is going to do some plussing. Additional food on the battlefield. And the turn is going to head back to Rosum. A lot of mana available. Field of the Dead on the battlefield. Huge Oko just sitting there. Draws a Beanstalk Giant.
Everyone's favorite.
Everyone's favorite card. An additional copy of Oko in hand.
Yeah, we haven't spent much time today talking about just how successful Eldraine was from a flavor standpoint.
That is true.
I mean, it's an absolute 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think not only are the cards super flavorful, they're just beautiful, too. So much beautiful art in the set.
Yes. Yep.
So many cool themes. I love these storybook cards. I get that some people are a little put off by the cost of some of these premium products, but you don't have to buy them. And if you're not buying them, I think that's fine. And the existence of these cards is probably lowering the cost of the non-premium versions,
sure,
if that's all you're interested in. I think this is it's fine to offer products to everyone. Certain people do want these premium offerings. If they're not for you, that's fine. Pass on them.
I believe one of our fans told us they are showcase cards.
Showcase cards. Got it. That's what this beautiful art with all the frilly borders, like we see on that Beanstalk Giant, is officially called. Got it. That Beanstalk Giant is going to get an untapped land. That's going to make a zombie. And follow up from that, we're going to shortcut a little bit. Circuitous route going back into the deck. Couple more guild gates onto the battlefield.
So absurd. When what you want to do is just get as much mana onto the battlefield as possible, and just heaps and piles of zombies come along for the ride.
Come spewing out of your deck.
Yeah.
One of those zombies is going to get a little bit bigger.
Yeah, why not?
I don't like Oko in this deck, Craig. Like, I understand the Oko is being activated a bunch, and it's ostensibly having some effect on the battlefield. Is it actually accomplishing anything, though?
In this matchup, I think not a lot.
Okay, so where does it shine?
It certainly pressured the opposing Oko some in the early game.
Okay, but that Oko is also somewhat irrelevant against Rosum, I think. Like, given how his battlefield has come together, it just was never really going to pose much of a threat.
I agree with you. I think if there are some of those low to the ground decks,
sure,
that Oko would shine in those matchups.
Okay, fair enough. And maybe you just have the other matchups covered already, and that's what you need to be accounting for. I think that's a valid point.
Well, and we're in week one here.
Of
right?
course.
So not everyone knows exactly what the metagame is going to look like as this tournament plays out.
Sure.
So I think Rosum just showed up with a deck that had good aspects against a bunch of different strategies, and we've already seen people who that I want to say they were kind of one step ahead, where they showed up with just way more game against the Golos mirror.
Right. Smart. The standard has moved ludicrously quickly.
Oh, it's crazy.
Tough to know exactly what level you want to be on for this day one tournament, really. I guess the set just officially released yesterday, which absolutely blows my mind. I feel like we're on our third metagame rotation already, but set's 1 day old. Here's a Nissa from Nass. If Nass is going to claw his way back into this game, Nissa is going to be an important piece of the puzzle. Needs a lot of help, though. You see those zombies already getting a little frisky over on Rosum's side.
Oh, and I almost don't like animating a land because you're just asking for it to be stolen.
Yeah. I guess there's no real good swap right now, though, right? There's no food on the battlefield presently.
I think you still just give him a zombie.
A zombie and you get a small upgrade.
Well, it's more than that because Nass is losing access to the 2 mana out of it as well.
Okay. Very good point. Let's see what Rosum wants to do here. Shifting around some elks. It's like one land can't quite make out what the other card is.
Yeah, looking at that, I mean, I say I didn't like the animation, but Nass is just between a rock and a hard place.
Sure.
Where he has to defend his planeswalkers in order to have a shot moving forward in this game. And not animating the land is basically just sacrificing a planeswalker here.
Gotcha. Would like to get confirmation exactly where these attacks are headed. My instinct is all at Nissa. I don't know that, though. We'll get confirmation from our spotter.
Yep, looks like it.
Yeah, there goes Nissa. That makes sense. Nass was able to find some profitable blocks, but there's a lot to work through here.
He's going to make the zombie for forest exchange.
Yep, here's the swap. Additional copy of Oko, I believe, is the last card in Rosum's hand.
And a zombie.
Everything's a zombie.
All right, Matt, you've kind of weathered the storm here.
Need a big turn now.
Yeah, Jonathan's kind of out of gas for now. But yeah, like you're saying, we need something to just put the ball back in our court.
Another Nissa off the top with a Krasis in hand. If Nass can get to a point where he can protect that Nissa for a turn, fire off a huge Krasis, maybe that's how the ball starts rolling.
Yeah, and the way things look right now.
Looks like he can.
Yeah, I think he's there.
Let's see. Oko on the battlefield can convert another food to a 3/3 elk.
Yeah, if he wanted to cash an Oko, he could make the trade back for his forest.
I'm inclined to grab that untapped Grazer instead.
Sure, the forest is just so important if you have the Nissa on the board.
Yeah. Well, it depends what you're trying to accomplish on this turn.
Yep. Yeah, if you're trying to pressure the opposing Oko.
We know Rosum with another Oko in hand. Nass does not know that. Step one is going to be cast Nissa. It's going to plus. Temple of Mystery will be untapped.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to lose another forest here in this deal.
Mm-hmm. Oko going to plus on food.
Man, so many elk.
Elk everywhere. We are going to fire off some attacks here. Again, I am assuming all at Oko we will get confirmation. Maybe you can make an argument for pressuring, but
I like the all at Oko attack here.
yeah. Nass being a good camera participant, pointing at stuff, letting us know exactly where these attacks are going. Oko is going to die. This battlefield looks very Nass favored right now.
Yeah, obviously Rosum has some huge draw steps.
Yep.
But the way things stand, Nass has done a good job of taking over this game.
Let's not forget there is a Beanstalk Giant on Adventure, but the backside of that card is a blank, so unlikely to have any effect on the game whatsoever.
7 mana, do nothing. That's what you're telling us?
That is the text. I think Rosum drew... I can't quite make it out. I thought it was a Krasis, but I think we'd just slam if it was a Krasis. So
Yeah.
instead, it's Oko. It's going to be step 1. Oko just going to upgrade a zombie. Not the biggest play from Oko. And here comes Hydroid Krasis as well as Zombie. Those will both go at Nissa. And Nass says, I'm going to keep those around.
Yeah, and this is that important here.
Krasis also was coming in. It's just a land for Rosum. It was a good land. It was Fabled Passage. That could be cashed in for a zombie. But this is it. This is the turn for Nass. 3 forests on the battlefield. Access to 7 mana right now. Could, of course, get an additional untap with Nissa if he chooses. Is going to do so. And he's going to tap it. That makes sense to me. 9 mana.
Yep.
Krasis X is 7.
Yeah, he might leave one floating here.
Let's see. Get our nice big dice.
7. Going to
X is
use all of
7.
it.
3 cards off the top of the deck for Nass. Another Krasis. Still has a land drop available. Tides are starting to turn here for Nass.
Yeah, this is the jellyfish chain, right? That you're looking to set up. When you put Krasis and Nissa into your deck, this is what you're looking to do.
This is why I have such a hard time being talked off the 4th copy of Hydroid Krasis in the Bant decks.
Sure.
Because I just think this chain is so, so critical. Drawing something like Kenrith just doesn't have the same immediate impact. Doesn't lead you as far into your deck as quickly.
Definitely.
I think it's all about chaining resources right now. Turn's going to head back to Rosum. Takes his draw. 2 mana. I assume we're looking at a growth spiral. We are.
And last turn, Nass turned the opposing jellyfish into an elk, which makes it a 7/7, but it loses flying and it loses trample.
Yeah. Yeah, you see this exchange a lot. Rosum going to do the same.
And
that means that Krasis is a 10-10.
You were talking about how Oko doesn't seem that great in this matchup. But there is definitely a point where the jellyfish look at each other and being able to turn it into just a creature on the ground for the zombies to get in front of the whole game
Absolutely.
is an effective strategy.
I agree. That's impactful. Nass now has the Abyss on his side of the battlefield. It's going to make some routine attacks. Zombie more than happy to jump in the way. Nass going to take 2 damage, falling to 21 precarious life total.
And I just have to tell our fans at home, our viewers, if these are the decks that you want to play at your next event, I have no problem. I don't blame you. I'll probably be playing Golos at my next event.
Sure.
But show up with all your tokens.
Probably a good idea.
Be ready for this type of stuff. Have some sort of elk counter. Have a big bag of dice. Don't be the guy who's always asking the people around him for another D6.
Right. Yeah, this deck asks a lot of you. Be ready for it. So here is Hydroid Krasis for a extremely large number. That's going to chain through Nass's deck. Bunch more resources headed his way. X equals 8 on that Krasis. Another untapped of a forest. It's going to cast a Gilded Goose, and now this battlefield is a nightmare. An utter, abject nightmare.
Oh, he's swapping back.
Gonna take that forest back.
Oh, how absurd is this board?
There's gonna be a lot of this.
Yeah, and the Hydroid Krasis are going to be abysses for a while. Now there's 2 of them instead of 1. But I think it's still going to be a couple of turns before they get the job done here.
I'm not even convinced they're going to get the job done. I mean, the top of Rosum's deck is so live at this point.
That's what I mean. It's going to give, Ross another 2 to 3 draw steps, maybe 3 to 4.
Sure. Yeah, every land now represents 2 zombies. So lands are no longer blanks. If you ever draw one of your large spells, Hydroid Krasis, Kenrith, game gets out of control real quick. That Beanstalk Giant, surprisingly still on an adventure. Not wanting to cash that one onto the battlefield. There's 5 mana for Golos. Golos goes to get 3rd Field of the Dead, 3 zombies now.
And ready to be activated.
Ready to be activated, and this is where things are slipping away from Matt Nass. You have a window, you need to act in that window. That draw may have closed the window.
Well, and it's just kind of like, for someone who's got 40 power or more than that on the board, to say that the game is slipping away is just so crazy. But that's the world we live in. That's the format.
Yep. 3 cards off the top. One's a land, one's a circuitous route, one's a Beanstalk Giant. That means we're going to be looking at a lot of zombies.
Yeah, they're all coming.
Oko's going to make food come alive. Time for some attacks. With the squad, everything's exposable at this point. You have all the resources in the world if you are Rosum. More than happy to make some chump attacks like this.
Yep. And Rosum does have the 1 Kenrith in his deck.
Right.
Which could potentially be very live at some point in this game.
Yeah, that would be a nice find with the Golos for sure. Nass is going to find some blocks here. Over in other matches, Matthew Dilks up a game, Amulet Titan leading over Urza Outcome. In our Legacy Teamer Delver Mirror, 1 game apiece for Baeckstrom and Daryl Ayers.
Yeah, we're pretty jealous that we're not watching that one.
Instead, we get a battlefield that looks like this. Do a little shortcutting here. Beanstalk Giant, Overgrown Tomb. Gonna go and find a couple more lands with that circuitous route. 6 more zombies on the battlefield. And the turn passes back to Nass. Looks like only 3 more. Only 1 Guildgate, no basics left.
Yeah, and that explains why he didn't go searching with the Beanstalk Giant.
Yep. So, we are back to Nass's turn now.
Yeah, and Oko did not turn the big Crassus into an elk.
It didn't, meaning that it could kill Oko, but I just don't think that matters all that much anymore.
Well, it is pressure from the air. It probably will not matter. I agree with you.
I just feel like this game is over on the next turn somehow. Maybe not.
It's pretty close.
Nass gonna pull out the calculator, figure out if he is still alive. Step 1 is Once Upon a Time. 5 cards deep. Brazen Borrower.
All right.
See what we can get up to with that card.
What a mess.
An absolute mess. Just not enough room for all these permanents.
Oh, man. I mean, look at this board. Brian, I just love it. It's so ridiculous.
I just don't get it, Craig. I honestly don't. I don't think it's good for Magic games to continually reach this state.
Yeah, this is fun for us to watch, and we can kind of track everything that's going on. But if this is what casual Magic is, if people go to Friday Night Magic,
right,
and they can never finish a match because the games get so bogged down and there's so much going on, I agree with you. I don't think that's a great place for Magic to be long term.
So figure out how to beat this deck real quick, Craig. We need this gone. It's on you. Help us, Craig. You're our only hope.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few ideas. None of them are good.
Okay.
But I'm also going to the next Pro Tour, so maybe I just keep my bad ideas in my pocket and I go to the Pro Tour and lose with them all for myself.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Looks like it's time for a Beanstalk Giant attack. Very fearsome.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
Very fearsome Beanstalk Giant. Gonna head into the red zone.
Block. Yeah, what are we doing?
Well, how about a second Beanstalk Giant? What are you gonna do about that? Now what's your plan, Matt Nass? Just gonna play a land, make some more zombies, and the turn heads back to Matt Nass. I have no idea who's winning anymore, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, with Golos being an elk.
Yeah. It seems like things are at like a point of parity, but Nass's hand is a little better, but Rosum has 42 zombies on the battlefield and 2 2020s. Like, what even is this game?
It's bonkers. Again, I think the flying crisis is huge here.
Yeah, let's not forget Rosum had the chance to address this crisis.
Yeah.
Had Oko on the battlefield, chose not to. And we'll see if that crisis can do all the work itself. 8 points of flying damage in the air. Rosum at just 11 now.
And Nass also has the Brazen Borrower.
Here comes Questing Beast as well. Not quite as strong with those Beanstalk Giants around, but...
And he can use the Brazen Borrower to bounce his own Elk Crassus.
Right. That's an interesting one. Let's see what Rosum has on this turn.
Yeah, there's literally like 3 dozen creatures on the battlefield.
Good, clean Magic. What's the saying, as Garfield intended?
Yes. Yeah. All right, Nass. I assume won this.
Yeah, I mean, either that or Rosum found a very powerful draw spell.
No, yeah, Nass took that one down.
Just going to go searching through the deck, couldn't find what he was looking for, and going to pick him up. And that means Matt Nass takes an absolutely bonkers game 1.
Yeah.
I think that game mostly defined by that Krasis not being earthbound.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of it, but it also showed you just how important Oko was in that matchup. Mm-hmm. I mean, it dragged down a couple of Krasis on both sides.
Right.
It turned Golos into a 3-3 elk, which is just super important.
Sure.
So, maybe Oko is better in this environment than we're giving it credit for.
It's always a possibility.
Not that we've been dismissing Oko by any means.
Right.
But to me, Oko was just the big mid-range killer, and maybe it's the mid-range killer that's still very good in the bigger decks as well.
I think you can find spots for it to efficiently pressure Bant Golos. I think, like you said, answering Krasis can be a big deal. Answering Golos, a big deal. Less sold on it over on the Bant side, though. But if you're playing a bunch of mirrors, maybe it's just part of your setup there.
Sure.
Why don't we go ahead and take a look at sideboards for these players. We'll start over on Matt Nass's side. There you see 4 Shifting Ceratops, 3 Love-Struck Beasts, 3 Ether Gust, 3 Veil of Summer, and 2 Mystical Dispute. A tight little package there. What do you want to do if you're over on Nass's side?
So this is interesting because Matt has to know at this point that everyone's bringing in Agent of Treachery, right? So I think Veil of Summer is great. And he got to see so many cards out of Rosum's deck. He knows, it's an Oko version and it's not a Teferi version.
That's huge. Huge for these Veil of Summers.
Yep. So I think the Veil of Summer is great in this matchup. And I actually like the Mystical Dispute as well.
Okay.
Having the ability to have a 1-mana counterspell for things like Oko and Crisis, it's just great. You don't have to leave 3 mana up the whole game in order to take off one of their important spells. You get to do it for 1 mana.
What about the fact that the ramp in Rosum's deck will eventually invalidate that spell? Does that trouble you at all?
It certainly does a little bit, but it's only a 2 of in this Mystical Dispute. And I think the first couple of turns are important enough, and there are points in turns 4, 5, and 6 where Rosum's still going to be using all of his mana, and you can tag one of his other spells just by hardcasting this for the full 3 if you need to.
Sure. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think it does have a purpose in this matchup. Meanwhile, over on Rosum's side, you see 3 Devout Decree, 3 Agent of Treachery, 2 Assassin's Trophy, 2 Negate, 2 Veil of Summer, 1 Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, 1 Prison Realm, and finally 1 Time Wipe. What do you want to do if you're on Rosum's side?
So I like the 3 Agent of Treachery. When it's all about Planeswalkers, being able to steal one just seems super powerful. I like the 2 Negates. The 2 Assassin's Trophy are interesting to me. I don't know if they are a Windmill Slam inclusion, but I would definitely lean that direction, and I like Prison Realm as well.
Feel about Time Wipe?
I'm not sure if that's what these games are about.
See, it's interesting because I think that card is incredibly important in the more traditional builds of Bant Golos. Having access to that at instant speed against Teferi, when you have Teferi on the battlefield, it's a big deal. Like being able to check their combat step, not allowing them to get maximum value out of their Nissas, really, really important. But with the absence of Teferi, I'm not as sold on the card, and I might, in fact, be passing on it.
It's funny how contextual a lot of these decisions are. It's not just this card's good against this matchup.
Right.
It's what are the other cards in my deck that make me want to play this or not play this.
Absolutely.
Another consideration is that Time Wipe is just a one-of.
Right.
Rosum has a Fae of Wishes.
Right.
And so if he brings this card in, he can no longer search for it with the Fae of Wishes.
Okay, so kind of has access to it anyway if he really needs it. Okay. We'll have to see what Rosum does here as we head to Game 2 of this match. And this is going to be the deciding match for these teams. There you see Matthew Dilks playing Amulet Titan, takes down Josh Mcclain playing Urza Outcome. A lot of GP champions on this team of Baeckstrom, Mcclain, and Nass. Mcclain, of course, famously took down GP with Birthing Pod way back in the day. Birthing Pod master, to be sure. Craig, you know what one of my favorite things on the planet to do is?
Is it make honking noises like a goose?
It is to make honking noises like a goose. I was actually going to throw to our ad very cleverly there, but this match has apparently already started, so now I can't do it anymore. Just picture it in your head. It would have been awesome if I was able to continue through with it.
Goose honking noises.
Goose honking noises, yes.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite things to do. That and casting Circuitous Route. which Jonathan Rosum is now doing, quickly accelerating to 6 mana. These players just couldn't wait to get back into this mirror.
Jeez, look, they're each just doing everything they want to do.
Explosive start for Matt Nass. Turn 3 Nissa.
Yeah.
But Rosum with already 6 lands on the battlefield.
Yeah, he has the ability to untap and potentially play Agent of Charger and steal it.
Oh, my goodness. Let's see what the 7 mana play from Rosum is going to be. Hey, you notice that Beanstalk Giant in Rosum's hand rotting, doing nothing because there's no spot on the curve where he would have wanted to play it?
Listen, they were very big creatures on the board.
They sure were. They were big, Craig. I will never take that away from Beanstalk Giant. It is big. Krasis for 4.
Okay.
It's a nice one. Draw 2 cards. Field of the Dead. That's what we were looking for. That's going to enter the battlefield. Zombie coming with it. And now we pass back to Matt Nass. 2 supercharged forests on the battlefield presently. Thanks, Nissa. Appreciate ya. Going to play a Breeding Pool untapped. And it is time for Wicked Wolf. Made of food with the Gilded Goose. Going to eat the food. And Krasis going to hit the bin. Plus some more on Nissa. Ooh. And this is the aggressive side of the Simic midrange deck, and they love playing this role in this matchup.
Super aggressive.
Yep. Rosum under some early pressure from these lands. Turn's just going to head back to Rosum here. Ooh, I think that was a Realm Cloak Giant. That's a nice one here.
Oh, does he want to just play the land first in order to play around a potential mana leak?
It's an interesting question.
Ultimately, that zombie is not going to make a big difference.
Let's see. It looks like the answer is no.
Mystical Dispute?
Realm Cloak Giant. Looks like it's just going to be food from Matt Nass. There is a big element of risk with that play for sure. Now Realm Cloak Giant going to head out on an adventure. Untap Temple Garden. There's Justin Parnell. Now it's time for Beanstalk Giant.
And just to make sure that everyone's on the same page here, the goose made another food. The wolf ate the food to be indestructible until end of turn.
Correct. Thank you for making that nice and clear. Nissa about to head to 8 loyalty. And that ultimate's pretty good in this matchup. Let's see if we're headed that way.
Let's take a look at Nissa, who shakes the world.
Yeah,
a lot of text. I don't remember. I don't remember exactly what happens when you ultimate.
Let me tell you.
I know you search for a billion lands.
All the forest you would like. They also, all your lands become indestructible.
Okay, that was the part where I wasn't sure if I was remembering it correctly.
I'm happy to fill you in on this. I've spent a lot of time with this card recently. There you see the ultimate. You get an emblem with lands you control have indestructible. Search your library for any number of forest cards. Put them onto the battlefield tap. Then shuffle your library. Nass with 17 forests total in his deck.
Wow.
Yeah. Nass says, I'll show you how to ramp. So still staying aggressive is Nass. Going to go ahead and attack with that Nissa animated land. Happy to trade it off for a zombie. Rosum's life total starting to get a little precarious now. A lot of mana available, though, for Rosum. Looks like Krasis in hand at the ready. That Nissa is going to ultimate, though.
Yeah, that's going to find a lot of lands. Rosum's a little fortunate that there's no animated lands on the board that are just going to be, indestructible creatures for the rest of the game.
Of course. Yeah, and here is Krasis for 8. Jeez. A smaller Krasis. Rosum draws 4, finds a Golos, finds Circuitous Route, finds Fabled Passage. So it's going to be zombie time next turn, that's for sure.
For sure. Ugh.
Not the draw we were looking for there.
That's the wrong time to peel a forest. I mean, the back and forth between these decks is so fun. Just everyone doing ridiculous things every turn. And that Beanstalk Giant just waiting to get frisky.
It's ready. It's ready to be big.
Put me in, coach.
It's got one job, be big. And it does it well.
It doesn't even do that job very well.
Well, look, I'm trying to give Beanstalk Giant some credit here. I can't just trash the card all day long.
You have been, so clearly you can. and I think you're mostly right as well.
Well, even a blind squirrel finds a nut from time to time. And you see Rosum going to have to make a block here on that questing beast, sitting at a precarious 5 life.
And now the big decision for Nass. You know, do I want to...
Do I press my luck?
Do I lose my Nissa here? Yeah. I can animate a land and then work on ultimating Nissa next turn.
Right. Yeah, I get the tension. Nass is out of gas. He would just be drawing off the top of the deck, hoping for help. There are a bunch of dead draws. That's what happens when you play a bunch of mana creatures in your deck.
Sure, but there's many less dead draws once you've searched for 15 or so forests out of your deck.
That is true. But Nass, reaching for a plus here, is going to take the slightly riskier line.
Yeah, this is the greedy line, but it might be the line he has to take to have a chance to win the game.
It might be. Boy, do you have to fear Agent of Treachery here. Oh my god, he drew it! He drew Agent of Treachery in this draw step.
Oh, it's so sick.
And there you see Agent of Treachery. It's going to come down. It's going to take Nissa, and Nass says that's enough. Pack it in.
For sure.
Look, I get Nass's decision there. It's really hard to criticize it because I don't think he was winning that game off just a raw Nissa ultimate. I think he still falls behind there. I approve of plussing, but it feels bad when that happens. Can't deny that. Well, that means this match tied up at 1 game apiece. And this is the decider. This determines which of these teams is going to be in prime position for a top 8 run going into tomorrow. 8-1, you're sitting real pretty.
Yeah, 8-1 going into day 2 is right where you want to be.
Absolutely. Well, Craig, I hate to waste a good throwaway, and I had a nice one. I was going to say, Craig, do you know what I enjoy doing more than almost anything in the world? And you were going to say, what's that, Brian?
What do you enjoy, Brian? I don't know you that well. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I enjoy buying Magic cards.
I actually did know this.
You did know this. And there's nowhere better on the planet to buy Magic cards than at the Star City Games Magic the Gathering sale. Head over to go.starcitygames.com/sale. Get your Gideon Spellbook, Rest in Peace, your Darksteel plates, your Thought Vessels, and your completely outmoded Pyromancer Ascension right now.
Thought Vessel?
Yeah, Thought Vessel.
Are they really...
Got to move those Thought Vessels.
Yeah, they're...
Greg, always be selling Thought Vessels. That's the motto here at StarCityGames.com.
ABC, always be closing.
Always be closing on those Thought Vessels. We are doing so as we tell you about the Magic the Gathering sale. No, all kidding aside, I check the Magic the Gathering sale on StarCityGames.com every week.
Yep, me too.
Every single week. There's always a great deal. I order my cards. I have them ready for pickup when I come do commentary. I go visit our booth. I say, do you have a nice stack of cards for me? They always do. Starts my weekend off right every time I come to an SCG Open.
And they're always foil.
Usually foil.
Well,
usually.
Sometimes there's like some beta cards mixed in there.
Some cards are not available in foil.
Yep.
All right. So it looks like we're into game 3.
I mean, how can we top the first 2 games?
Yeah, they were bangers. I really enjoyed this matchup, actually. I think Van Golos versus Simic. Like I said, I see these as the 2 Tier 1 decks in the format, and I think these matchups are interesting all the time.
Yeah.
Over and over. There's good stuff coming out of these matchups. Nass going to start off with some free spells. Once Upon a Time. If it's free, it's me, baby. Trying to figure out exactly what to take here.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going back and forth between a Crassus and a Wolf.
Hydroid Krasis going to be the grab. How's the rest of turn 1? Just forest pass. The goose is not loose. Rosum going to play a tap land.
And if your opener is forest pass,
tap land pass.
Is it possible that you shouldn't have played the Once Upon a Time until the second turn?
Well, you're looking for goose.
Yeah, I guess
right?
if you're looking for goose, or even if the best card you hit is a tap land,
yep,
you might want to go with the tap land on turn 1.
I think that decision's correct. Your hand gets so much better when you have goose versus when you don't. Here's the play for Rosum. It's Beanstalk Giant, and here it legitimately looks great. Fills in the curve nicely.
Everyone's favorite card.
Beanstalk Giant off on an adventure. Gonna go grab an island. Now we're back to Nass's turn, and he's just getting aggressive. Questing Beast on the beatdowns. Rosum falls to 17. Did gain a life off that Thornwood Falls. Rosum going to deploy a land here. And it's time for Circuitous Route. That's going to make some zombies because we're up to 7 lands already.
Yeah, a lot of zombies.
Next play from Nass. Wicked Wolf. That means Rosum going to take another set of beats from this Questing Beast. Falling down to 13. We'll get those life totals updated for you. Don't worry. There you see, 13 for Rosum. And there's a nice follow-up. It's Golos.
Well, I think we're working with another Field of the Dead in our hand here.
Oh, boy.
Am I right? Oh, yeah.
We are. 5 new zombie tokens enter the battlefield. Questing Beast doesn't care too much about those.
Does not care.
Let's see if Nass can find some damage. Assassin's Trophy on Questing Beast. That's a big play from Rosum. Questing Beast is going to eat it. Nass goes and finds a basic island. Yeah, I think Assassin's Trophy is pretty good in this matchup.
Ooh, doggy. Yeah, the way the first game played out, we didn't really see, Questing Beast pressuring the opponent. Mm-hmm. But it does seem very effective in this matchup, so I can see having that answer for Questing Beast and Planeswalkers.
Sure. Decent reload here from Nass, but the problem is when there's this many Field of the Deads on the battlefield, how are you supposed to keep pace? Like at some point, you're just going to get outscaled. No real reset button in Nass's deck. You need to be doing things early. You need to have your Planeswalkers early. Nass did not this game. Once Upon a Time, going to be cast by Rosum. Finds a Krasis. And I think this one is starting to slip away from Matt Nass. Well, this is interesting. Krasis as opposed to that route. I get it. Draws 3, finds the 4th copy of Field of the Dead.
Yeah, and the Krasis buffers his life total a little bit, and it's big enough to tussle with the opposing Krasis.
Able to block, yep.
I think on Rossum's side, it's just, all right, I'll just make sure I don't die over the next 2 turns, and the zombies are going to get the job done.
I agree. I think that's heads-up play from Rosum. Also, now when he casts Circuitous Route, he's going to get 8 zombies from it. Producing at least 12 zombies on his next turn is Rosum. Who needs Scape Shift?
Oh, man.
Sideboarded out that card all the time anyway. Who cares?
Yeah. Oh, what a world we're living in.
I think Nass starting to see the writing on the wall here. Going to need some real help in these next few turns, and I just don't know what there is. We've been wrong before, I'll say that.
Oh.
Wicked Wolf on Zombie doesn't feel great, though.
Take that.
Not the most profitable exchange.
Yeah, I think Nass's face there was kind of telling the whole story.
Nass does have Brazen Borrower at the ready. Oh boy, this is a lot of mana. think this is just a Golos activation.
Starting with Golos.
How about another Golos? How about a Realm Cloak Giant? Field of the Dead in hand, interestingly enough. Could have played that first. Likely weren't going to find a better land than Field of the Dead.
Yeah, he's got another Golos on backup. Why not send this one into the red zone?
Sure, makes sense to me.
A lot of conversation about it. There's no bad decision here, right?
You do reach that point with these Bant Golos decks where you're like, it doesn't even matter what I do anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I could do the wrong thing every single turn for the rest of the game, and I would win easily.
Yeah, he's saying, hey, teammates, what's the most optimal line here? And they're saying,
Who cares?
Yeah, dude.
Do whatever you want. It's your party. This is just your victory lap now.
Yeah.
Oh, Rosum can actually still cast the Circuitous route, should he choose. It's pretty wild. We're in turns now. Turn 0. I don't think there's a lot of turns left in this game anyway.
Nah, the zombie apocalypse is upon us.
Does feel that way. Nass going to take a good chunk of damage here. Rosum loses some zombies along the way, but he's got those in spades. We're just going to go ahead and Wrath, clean it all up.
Yeah, I thought he might just want to play just a 7/7 there.
Yeah, I think, again, I don't think it actually matters. I think you can do basically anything at this point, and you will be fine. Growth Spiral is step 1. That's going to put 4 zombies on the battlefield. How about 4 more zombies? How about 4 more zombies? Like I said, there was no wrong path to take here. Get a scry, why not? Take a look at the top of the library, see what it has to offer.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that Nass was dropping to 4 life.
Yep. Now, there are already a lot of zombies on the battlefield. Nass going to deploy the Lonely Brazen Borrower.
Yes, get him!
And that is going to get the handshake, and that means the team of Ayers, Dilks, and Rosum moving on to day 2, 8-1. Good stuff from the Bant Golos deck there. I mean, we said it all day. That is powerful, powerful magic.
Bigger, bigger, and bigger.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't like Nass was just sitting there doing nothing. His game plans were explosive as well.
Yep.
He had a Nissa ultimate he could have done one turn, and it was just meaningless. It would have done